Welcome to Reedwood Online, a ministry of Reedwood Friends Church in Portland, Oregon. We are a Christ-centered meeting. Today we'll be enjoying music performed by Miss Shirley Brendlinger. Our prepared message will be about how God as Father is a relational lens we encounter divine realities within. So, welcome, peace, and may Christ meet you right where you are. Good morning, Reedwood friends and those beyond. It's good to connect with you here on this Sunday of June 21st, 2020. God's peace and best to you here this morning. You know, today we have the unique calendar day where, as a minister, I am influenced to bring a message about fathers and or fatherhood. Of the variety of ways that human beings talk about and relate to God, especially in the Christian tradition, the analogy of God as Father has been a long-lived title and designation. I notice that I myself, when I pray, I commonly address God as Heavenly Father. It's a picture and lens that humanity has been given for the sake of God's condescension, God's foundational relatability, and God's longing to connect with all of creation, especially in this sense, humankind. I want to stress that God as Divine Father is to be approached and understood as a lens, as a way of viewing the divine and not the way. Much like the broadness of spectrums in physical light, so too is there a variety and broadness in how we can relate to God. God as Father is an earthly metaphor, attempting to communicate something about the divine being and character of Yahweh. I think Christians, given our following the faith of and in Jesus, whom we call the Son of God, it's not a far step to designate God as Father in relationship to the Son. Echoing the faith and verbiage of Jesus himself in the Gospels, God as Father is a natural result of Christian faith language. One of the most famous Bible verses that records this Divine Father image is the beginning of what is titled the Lord's Prayer. Remember the scene where the disciples approach Jesus and ask him to teach us how to pray. Comically, Jesus instructs them first on how not to pray. The simplicity and innocence of the prayer style Jesus instructs us begins where each person has been at one point of their life, like a child to a parent. Where in Matthew chapter 6, Jesus says, "Pray then in this way, Our Father who is in heaven." Now, between the lines, Jesus is saying prayer is like a child's request to a parent. It's an act that exists in the realm of not only the spiritual, but even the biological beginnings of the prayer. It's an action that flows naturally out of relationship. It's a communion that we are entitled to and can grow in and thrive in. To speak about fathers and or father-like behaviors, to talk about one of the most primary titles given to the ground and uniqueness of the divine personhood of God. Even if this safe, intimate parental relationship never existed in reality in your life experience, we may want to view God as the parent that we have in faith, a parent figure who will not fall short. I think this is a good aspect to focus upon for Father's Day. The relationship between a parent to a child, while unique, safe, and intimate, ought to be reflective of our relationship in faith to the divine. So, what Jesus was teaching the disciples and what he said about prayer was a standard that humanity can approach God with, a place of creative and gracious request and union. Where is this encountered? It's encountered in heaven, Jesus says. Heaven not as a place you go to when you die, but heaven as a plane of existence that's here and now and immediate to any who would seek it. So today we consider what the symbol of Father reveals about God in the context of prayer. We may consider how we engage in this. If there was a time in U.S. history that could use the power accessed in prayer, we are living in that time right now. Let that be our beginning and our foundation to each new day. Our creative, intimate communion with whom we are free to call our Father. Blessings and peace to you. Thank you for listening to this production from Reedwood Friends Church. It is our hope that you have been able to commune with the light of Christ during this time. You are invited to continue in worship as we gather online through Zoom over the link provided on this weekend's e-news.